Good evening, I'm Gary Rebstock. First on 9. Tonight, calls for the Minneapolis fire chief to resign. All of it fallout from those 6 fired rookie firefighters. Tom Lydon broke this story and has the very latest.
What began as psychological quickly turned political at City Hall this evening.
Whatever it takes, Chief Dickinson must go.
I'm concerned that the only people who are failing the psychological test are minority people.
The chief fired 6 minority rookie firefighters after a second psychologist declared them unfit for duty. John Elin was in the last recruit class and failed the same exam.
Then he should just put a sign on his door down there stating minorities need not apply.
I suspect that white firefighter applicants were not asked if they were in motorcycle gangs or if they were in neo-Nazi groups.
One of the things that came up in the council meeting tonight was the need to do criminal background checks on these rookies. The department hasn't done that for 24 years. Well, we did a criminal background check on the rookies this afternoon and found nearly all of them have some type of criminal record, most of it misdemeanor stuff or driving after suspension, things like that. But at least one rookie 4 years ago was charged with attempted murder. That kind of record was clearly on the chief's mind when he made this court deposition last month.
I think it's fairly obvious that we're hiring gang members.
I'm deeply incensed by that.
That's right.
Why should this individual, Chief Dickinson, continue to make rash statements that are unfounded to get his way?
I said gang when I could have probably used a different word that didn't have the same message attached to it.
But subtext and context has become everything. The fire department has a 25-year history of discrimination troubles. City leaders are reading between the lines and are clearly fed up.
We continue to have ongoing problems with the hiring of firefighters. We've had that problem for 25 years. It comes up with every single class. I am embarrassed by that, and I don't want to be part of that in the future.
Tomorrow, the City Council is considering paying those fired cadets until this whole issue is resolved. The Black Firefighters Association has given the chief a vote of no confidence, but the chief seems pretty sure he can weather the storm. One interesting footnote here, the chief tells me about 200 firefighters have taken and passed this psych exam. Of those 200, 95, nearly half, were minorities. Gary?
Tom, so far, who's seen the results of these exams?
The chief has. He says he can't talk about it, but feels pretty good about what he's seen. So is the attorney for the cadets. Now, he tells me a different story. He says the results were very subjective, were a backdoor, stealth way of getting at issues like criminal history. And he said there's no standards here. There's no way to judge one cadet to another, and there's no validation of the exam either.
Well, let me ask you this. These tests, many of them are psychological profiles designed to take a look at how your mind works and predict how you might react in certain situations. Does anyone ever meet with the cadets to go over the results to say, hey, here's an area of your life that we think could be trouble. You might want to get some counseling? Or they just let it go?
They let it go. All they got was the letter the day before Thanksgiving telling them they did not pass. They will see those results now. Their attorney has the results.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
Up next on 9 at 9, 4 Minneapolis police officers could be in danger of losing their jobs tonight because of a federal law aimed at taking away guns from domestic abusers. But even some domestic abuse counselors have some concerns about the fairness of this new law. I'm Doug Stoddard. I'll have an update.
You decide what's going to be built. You decide what's going to be, how it's going to be paid for.
This is one of just 2 remaining sites the Minneapolis City Council is considering for a new baseball stadium. I'm Stephanie Odegaard. I'll have the latest on these discussions coming up.
It's a California comeback in Arizona, one of the most endangered birds on the continent, spreading its wings once again. The Christmas spirit getting more than just a hand today. Minneapolis firefighters helping get a leg up on charity. Their careers in law enforcement could be in serious trouble because of something they did in the past.
As we told you last night, a new federal law aimed at taking guns away from domestic abusers could cost several police officers their jobs. But tonight, there's some strong concern about the fairness of the new law. Here's Doug Stoddard with the story.
4 Minneapolis police officers have already handed over their guns and have been placed on administrative paid leave after admitting that they've been convicted of domestic abuse in the past. Their careers could also be in jeopardy when their cases go to the State Police Standards Board, which may have no choice but to take away their law enforcement license.
You can't meet the ongoing standards. The law said if it's on the record, you can't carry a firearm. It would seem that we would have to take action to revoke the license.
While Locke supports the intent of the law, which prevents anyone convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence from owning a firearm, he's troubled by the fact that it's retroactive, meaning it punishes officers for convictions that may have happened years ago.
And to me, the bottom line is it's just plain unfair. I don't think that's the way we want to run business, is to change the rules long after the offense. It just doesn't seem fair.
And Locke has an unlikely supporter in Carol Arthur, the executive director of the Minnesota Domestic Abuse Project. She also believes the law unfairly punishes those who've been convicted of domestic violence in the past, but have since undergone treatment and have stopped the abuse.
That's very punitive to somebody who got the message and changed their behavior. And that's troubling about the law, is that there are no parameters for something like that.
While part of the law is causing controversy, Arthur welcomes its intent, which aims to take away guns from domestic abusers. In Minnesota alone, more than 40 women and 14 children have been murdered in domestic-related crimes in the last 2 years. Most of those killings involve guns.
But again, I think we can't lose sight of the intent of this legislation. And the intent was to protect victims of domestic violence, and that's real and that's important.
The Minneapolis officers who turned in their guns will have their cases reviewed in the coming weeks, and this could be just the beginning. Many police agencies in the area are already doing background checks on their officers, while other departments refuse to, saying they simply don't have the resources to conduct extensive searches. This is a law that is still being reviewed at the state and federal level, and we should also keep in mind this law applies to all citizens convicted of misdemeanor domestic abuse. Robin?
Okay, thanks, Doug.
Will the Minneapolis City Council play ball when it comes to building a new stadium for the Twins? And if it does, where would the council want that stadium to be? Well, if you're asking, turns out that's the wrong question. The real question, as Stephanie Odegaard found out, is where won't the City Council put a new stadium?
No different about the debate that we
At City Hall, council members had a lot more to say about what they won't do than what they will do. Talk about a new baseball stadium is turning into some major league political hardball.
And we're saying, the same governor is telling us, we don't know how we're going to pay for it, but trust us. The state will take care of it. Minneapolis won't have to do it. And what I'm saying is I've been burned once by the legislature. I've been burned a couple of times by the legislature. I don't want to get burned by the legislature again.
Dennis Schulstead says it happened when the convention center went up. Minneapolis got stuck with the bill. Council members say if the council chooses one site, it sends the wrong message.
It's the first step down the slippery slope. If we start selecting a site for a stadium, that means we're giving a green light to the construction of a stadium, and unfortunately for one that's paid for by the taxpayers.
We are leaving here today saying we are not going to select a site until we find out precisely what the legislature intends to build and who they will have pay for it.
So they refused to select one site, but they did unselect 2 of the 4 sites under consideration. Out of the mix, the North Nicollet Mall site and the Warehouse District site. The reason? There's already development underway or on the drawing board there. Beyond that, the council wants to play a waiting game. So to mix metaphors, the ball is now in the legislature's court. In Minneapolis, Stephanie Odegaard, Minnesota 9 News.
And the City Council meets again tomorrow.
The last candidate in the running to become the next president of the University of Minnesota picked up an important endorsement today. Mark Yudof met with state legislators and Governor Arne Carlson, who later came out in favor of Yudof's candidacy. Carlson says the vice president at the University of Texas has the experience and background necessary to take the U into the next century.
With the appointment of Professor Yudof, the Minnesota has reached that level of opportunity that no doubt in my mind will lead us to a decade or more of success.
Yudof says he's almost 100% sure he'll take the job if it's offered, but he won't take a cut in his $198,000 a year salary to come here. The regents are expected to vote on a new president tomorrow.
Convicted rapist and killer Dennis Linehan will not be back on the streets anytime soon. The Minnesota Supreme Court has rejected Linehan's appeal to overturn the state's sexual predator law. It allows communities to confine sexually dangerous persons indefinitely. Linehan's attorney says the ruling gives the state too much power to keep people locked up even after they've served their prison time.
There's absolutely no reason why the state could not pick out another group of people whom it considered to be dangerous and use preventive detention to lock them up, not to punish a past crime, but to prevent a predicted future crime.
Linehan has been confined to the Moose Lake Center for Sex Offenders since serving a prison sentence for killing a Shoreview woman back in 1965. His attorneys say he may appeal the decision to the U.S. Supreme Court. And on the 9 line tonight, we want you to call with your reaction to the state Supreme Court's decision to reject Dennis Linehan's appeal and keep him locked up. The number is 946-1234. Please dial carefully. We'll play your comments throughout the newscast.
Well, coming up next, the future takes flight over Arizona.
In the arts in Minnesota, flying high because of something the governor has done.
There are sales, and then there's the sale at Kohl's, the one day of the year where absolutely everything is on sale. If it's for sale, it's on sale. No exceptions, no exclusions, nothing held back. It starts this Saturday at 7 a.m. with early bird specials until 11 a.m. So if you want these savings, get to the sale this Saturday only at Kohl's.
Audio King shops the competition to keep our prices low. And we offer a 60-day guarantee that we will not be undersold. That's value.
Like this exclusive offer from Audio King and AirTouch Cellular. Free activation, free first month, free 200 minutes, and $100 cash back on all cellular phones, including this free one. Available only at Audio King, the cellular phone experts.
Shop Audio King, where low prices and customer satisfaction are guaranteed.
It has the most powerful gas and diesel engines of any full-size pickup. It has the most available payload and towing. It has the roomiest cab of all. And better resale value than Ford, Chevy, or GMC. It's the truck that wrote a whole new rule book, now available in a leather-bound edition. Dodge Ram. The rules have changed.
Hey, Marty, you up for a little 2-on-2?
Yeah, losers watch the winners eat.
I don't see why not.
Good. Then you can watch us eat our favorite McDonald's classics.
At only $2.99, the McDonald's classics are the perfect choice. For Kirby, it's a classic Big Mac extra value meal, while Paul goes for the quarter pounder with cheese extra value meal.
So, Marty, who are you gonna play with?
I was thinking about maybe my friend Kevin over here.
Did I hear someone say 2-on-2?
The Mervyn Super Sale. We don't care how you get here. Just get here.
Open, open, open. The defense in O.J. Simpson's civil trial continued to dissect the way police collected evidence at the murder scene. From our CNN Satellite Center, here's Ann McDermott.
O.J. Simpson's lawyers got support for an important part of their case Thursday when a DNA expert gave his opinion of procedures at the Los Angeles Police Crime Lab, the lab responsible for collecting and processing the evidence against O.J. Simpson. And according to John Gertis, his opinion of the lab was there's an unacceptable risk of cross-contamination. Gertis went on to say the outside labs that did the actual DNA testing were pretty good, but the clear implication was what they had to work with was contaminated. In other words, it was a case of garbage in, garbage out, resulting in a man wrongly accused in the deaths of his ex-wife and her friend. But the lawyers suing Simpson on behalf of the families of victims Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman got Gertis to admit that he's testified